I'm good. Sorry, guys, for...
I'd like to welcome everybody to the Bruce Township Board of Trustees meeting for May 17th, 2023. Can we get a roll call, please?
Tremblay.
Here.
Kraft.
Here.
Philbrook.
Here.
Giorgio.
Here.
Kraft. Here.
Please stand for the pledge of allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Has everybody had an opportunity to take a look at the consent agenda? If there's any deletions or additions they'd like to make?
Nope.
I'd like to add the ALS contract to our agenda. The P.
For negotiation purposes, you're saying?
Just for discussion. We haven't done it yet.
We had anything on, in the last month's minutes, we were going to look at the mechanic again. Anything on the mechanic or engine coordinator, I
We
guess it's
didn't
called?
hear anything from anybody, so we didn't do that.
Mike, on regarding the liquor license, we touch bases with that in the Three Oaks, at the PC.
I did. I don't have my document. The PC minutes, when that was included, what we commented on.
So you didn't hear anything?
We can talk about that.
Nobody's got any additions or deletions. I'll make a motion, go ahead and approve consent agenda as presented.
Support.
With the amendment?
Oh, with the amendment?
Yeah.
Support by Frank. Any other discussion? No, can we get a roll call, please?
Kraft.
Yes.
Giorgio.
Yes.
Philbrook.
Yes.
Kraft, yes. Tremblay.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Right now, we're gonna listen to comments from the floor. We would like for you to come up to the podium. You got to state your name and your address. Like to keep your comments under 3 minutes. We would like to possibly address most of the items that we have on our agenda. If anybody wishes to speak, now would be the time. So, Don Stone, how are you?
I'm doing good, thank you. My name is Don Stone, and I live at 170 West Gates, and I'm here to request protection. Protection for my family, protection for everybody that lives on West Gates between Mellon and Prospect. Before any development should be approved for that area, or even close to that area, I would like to recommend that you get a traffic study done, because it is just getting so bad that people are really worried about backing out of their driveways, about their children playing in their yards. It is so difficult. Everybody that I talk to, not only in that particular on West Gates, but even people on Turner, and people on East Gates, and people on Mellon, and people on Kading, because everybody diverts and goes around West Gates to go on Kading, which I can't understand why they would do that, because that road is so bad, but they do it. So I'm asking, because it's a county road, the county should do it. And I did contact Mark Hackle's office to try to get them to come out and do a traffic study, a proper one. The last one that was done was about 5 years ago, and it was done only on one end of the street, and it wasn't done very long either. It was like a day or two, and it was done down by Mellon, but not up by Prospect. So anybody coming and going on West Gates or going the other way was never counted. But 5 years ago, in that 5 years, traffic has been, just unbelievable. People running the light, people not caring about no right turn on light on red, and people coming around the corner so fast that their tires are squealing. So I'm asking if you can do anything to get a traffic study done before any development is allowed in that area.
You're primarily talking, you keep mentioning Gate Street, but it's Van Dyke between East Gates and West Gates,
That's correct.
up to basically Sheena's or to,
Right,
Gate.
but right in front of my house, that's West Gates. And the county takes care of that road. The county should do a traffic survey there. But I think you should look at the traffic survey if they do one, or if they don't do one, maybe you request one being done, so that we know for a fact what needs to be done to make it safer. Is it a left-hand turn lane all the way? In front of my house, there's 3 lanes. But when I come around the corner from Sheena's to turn into my driveway, I round the corner. I don't turn on my blinker at the light because they think I'm just turning, my blinker is on for that reason. I don't turn my blinker on until I'm around the corner. I have my window down and my arm out the window to let the people know behind me that I'm turning in my driveway because I don't want to be hit. My son and my granddaughter were hit, backing out of the driveway. Fortunately, they were not hurt. The woman that hit them was hurt. So it's not just unsafe for the residents that live on both sides in the village and on the side that I live in, Bruce Township. It's also dangerous for people that travel through there. That's all I have.
thanks, Tom. I personally will look into.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Thank
Okay.
you.
Hi there, how are you?
Hello. My name's Sue Temple. My husband, Rob Temple. We live at 4685 32 Mile. We're addressing the board tonight regarding 4801 32 Mile, the 2,400 square foot pole barn that's proposed at the Schick residence. Our property is directly west and next door to the building that's being proposed. It's going to be 12 feet from our property line, which is recommended setback. It's 40 feet from our driveway. So it'll be the first thing you see as you pull in our driveway. We have a real long driveway. We've owned our property 28 years. It's approximately 9.5 acres. And we scrimped and saved for years and years, and 9 years ago, we got to build our dream home. So our property has pretty much an up-north feel, yet it's very close to town. We value our property and value our neighborhood. We've invested our life savings here. The pole barn we're discussing is 16 feet high and 60 feet long and 40 feet wide. We believe the size, location, and the white metal siding, the color, will diminish our property value. It'll take away from the rural up north feel of our property. I have a layout here of the aerial view, if you want to give that to them. And that just gives you a little orientation of where our property is in in regard to where their property is. Ours is about 800 feet from the road. Theirs is about 300 feet from the road. The second picture shows the area on their driveway where the pole barn's proposed. That gray building is a temporary building. And then there's a black and white enclosed trailer. And in that picture, you can see the difference in the color because the white trailer shows up dramatically in opposed to the gray building. Sense the color, that's the issue. And then in this third picture, it shows approximately what the building would look like there. And I know it's not exact, it's not a, exact rendering or anything, but it's fairly close. We're asking the board to consider, we're suggesting that it's a possibility of camouflaging the building in a way that helps it to fit into the surrounding property, the natural up north feel. One thing is the color, which I mentioned. A dark gray, a dark brown, a dark green, any of those would fit in with a natural surrounding versus a bright white. There's no natural white in a wooded area. Pine trees is another way that can help camouflage the building. And that would take quite a few years for it to camouflage the building since the sides are 16 feet high. An 8-foot tree or 6-foot tree is going to take a while. Mr. and Mrs. Schick's property value, we know that they are concerned about their property value too. Most people love and appreciate having a pole barn, but they don't necessarily love the look of a pole barn. We already know from the first board meeting, Mr. and Mrs. Schick have spent $20,000 on pine trees to obscure their vision of 32 Mile and Big Red Apple Orchard. Our hope is that this new building would improve both properties, theirs and ours. Mr. Schick is a real estate broker, so we know he realizes how important property values are to each property owner. We appreciate Mr. and Mrs. Schick for making all their improvements over the last year, and since they moved in late August, they've really been working very, very hard at making things look nice, and it really shows. We look forward to a long and happy relationship with them as neighbors. And I also want to thank Dana for all her help. Thank you so much. And I'd also like to thank the board for considering our plea. And thank you for all your hard work and for keeping our township beautiful and a great place to grow a family. Thank you.
There was a planning commission meeting at May 3rd, which you should have been notified of the special land use that was going on. So I know that Dana did mail those notifications out. Is there a reason why you didn't come to the planning commission before
Yeah,
the recommendation was made?
When we finally got it, which I can't speak to the postal service, but I got that letter a couple days before the meeting, and I came right down to the township and talked to Dana, and she suggested I write a letter, which I did, and I think it was submitted that morning. So that's why I didn't come. I would have been glad to come, believe me.
Thank you, Sue and Ron.
Thank you very much.
Good evening. Daniel Schick, 4801 32 Mile. Obviously, we live in Bruce Township. So Mike Tremblay, you were there at the last meeting. Dana, you were there at the last meeting. I gave all the energy I had there, so I'm not going to go through what I did last time around. I was held up here for an hour to ask every single question I could probably get asked. The Planning Commission, Mike, I'm sure you'll back this, wants the accessory building, at least from a color standpoint, everything to match my home. My home is white. I agreed to do a gray roof because I have a gray roof on my home. I do care about property values. I do care about my neighbors. I do care about improving the community. It's been a pretty weird welcome into Bruce Township. I'm just controlling what I can for my family to try and make this place better. I'm not trying to rub people the wrong way.
Excuse me 1 second. Mike, wouldn't we be just wait until we hear it on the agenda item, under item and for the show?
Are you going to allow Mr. Schick to talk then?
Yeah.
Whatever's best.
We got you
Okay.
down on item M on the agenda.
Okay, I just didn't know if that felt appropriate to respond. Not, do you want me to respond now?
No, I
Oh.
think that would be more appropriate.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else who would wish to public comment this time? No? Okay. All right, we'll move on. We have no, item number 5, we have no hearings and reviews, so we'll move on to unfinished business, which is item 6A, the building inspector's pay. This is an item that we had on our agenda last month that was tabled to find out a little bit more information. I think, Mike, you might have had a few questions on that. I think everybody's gotten a copy of what the building inspector is currently making. I think Christine has been pushing this, Christine White's been pushing this issue, and I think that it maybe might have been Lisa Crabby too that might have asked some questions. But so Ray currently he's making let's just go with his history. He started in 2002 and he worked 3 months out of the year for 10 years straight. Our building inspector at that time was his father, Howard Hicks. He would go to Florida for 3 months, and that's when Ray would fill in for him. So he worked 3 months from 2002 to 2013. When Howard did retire, Ray did take over full-time in 2013. For his 10 years of service, they did give him, the previous administration did give him 3 years of seniority time. Ray's currently been working since 2013 to the current date as a full-time building official. He was appointed, he's not hired. He takes currently 24 days a year of vacations, which he does have somebody that subs for him at that time. His current salary is $37,128. Christine made the recommendation of an 8% increase. He has had 2% increase over the past few years, and I don't know exactly when that went into effect. But she's looking at an 8% increase because the $37,128 is a very, very low pay. We didn't really have a lot to go on as far as neighboring communities because they're all broken down into different categories. They get paid on inspections, some on salary. It's kind of a hit or miss, but we're looking at our individual thing. But Washington Township's inspector does get $65,418.71 plus health care and insurance benefits. The plan reviewer for Washington Township, which is our neighboring community, also gets $70,851. I mean, these are over 100% higher than what Ray's currently getting. The Village of Romeo, our other neighbor, is basically at 70% of the permit fees. You do have a breakdown of some of what the permit fees you have in front of you and what the if it was gonna go on inspector's fees, what the total cost would be, and it's kind of in the sheet, it shows 2021, 2022, and 2023, which is only partial. We did have a fee increase that we had done recently, in our residential home building, pretty much doubled on our permit price, so the building inspector's pay increase would be 8%, which would be $2,972.64 annually, or $114 bi-weekly, would be easily covered by 3 of our new price schedules for our new residential builds. So I mean, at this time, I would make a motion to go ahead and approve to have Ray Hicks receive his 8% salary increase, which would be an increase of $2,972.64 a year, which would bring his salary to $40,100.64. Talking about a full-time worker that been here for 20 years, 21 years. He's only making $37,000 a year, which is, I don't know, in today's standards, that's not a very good salary. So,
I have some questions.
sure.
My first is, do we have a job description for him? I mean, every other position that we've considered for an increase and every other position in the township has a job description. And I didn't see that when looking through all of my previous work. So that was my first question. And then the second, and I think you answered it, Mike, is he full-time? Because I was under the assumption that he was part-time.
He's here every day. I mean, he's there usually 7:30 in the morning, sometimes prior, he opens up the building a lot of times when he does. He leaves on Tuesdays a little earlier because he's got his golf league, I think it is.
But I guess, how many hours per work does he work,
Not
hours
even-
per week does he work?
He doesn't really have set hours.
No set hours?
But he's here every day, and then he also does a lot of inspections when he can't make them during the week in order to try to, meet the builder's schedule, so he has to do a lot of inspections on Fridays where nobody else is here. So,
Why are we talking about this now instead of during budget time when we did all the other salaries?
well, this was brought up, but I mean, now it's just as good a time as any, but you're.
Not
right.
really, we should have talked when we were talking about our budget.
So our budget's not gonna be we're not gonna do budget again until next year. He's the second lowest paid guy in the township, and I think that he puts a full day in. And I know that all the we don't have any issues with any of the builders or any of the contractors in our community. They all get along with him, and we don't have complaints, and, he's a good employee. In today's day and age, if we don't take care of our employees, and I guess financially it's one of them, then we do stand a good chance of losing them to another community, because these building inspectors are far and few in between right now. If he can go to a neighboring community and almost double his salary, I think that we would have to think twice about what we're gonna do tonight.
It's also important to know that he gets $6,000 a year in his pension and
Includes
healthcare.
benefits, but that's the same thing in Washington, gets twice the salary and they get the same thing.
Well, Washington's a very different community. I'm not saying he doesn't deserve some increase, I just think that 8% is high.
What would be, even if it was 2% or 4% and more of a salary, that would be in line with what he should be getting paid right now. He's making $37,000 a year. Who's making $37,000 a year on a full-time job to support a family or wife or home, car payment, whatever you might have? So,
I don't think no one's denying the fact that he shouldn't get a raise. 8%'s a little steep, but like you said, even, I don't know. What does everybody feel comfortable with?
So Mike, what's the history of his increases he's been here since, I heard, 2013 is when he took over?
So last raise he got was 2%, and that was a mistake, I guess, and that was during our was it during our administration? I think.
Mm-hmm.
he wasn't even supposed to get a 2% raise, but since he got it somehow, I don't know exactly the details on it, it ended up staying, but it was a couple of years ago, a 2% raise.
So you got 2% in 10 years.
Because he went up with contractual 2%, and then Ron didn't realize he wasn't.
The fact of the matter was a mistake or not, he's got 2% in 10 years. That's not very much. But did we get an answer to your first question about the job description?
That would have been provided if I would have had that question answered asked at our last meeting, I think.
I didn't think of it till I was reviewing everything again.
Well, I mean, you probably don't even need it, I mean, you can just say what he does, right? I mean, he goes out and,
Is it just inspections?
No, he is our chief building official.
So what does the job entail other than inspecting property when a permit is issued?
Well, he'll issue, I mean, he can issue, like, condemned housing, you know.
So does he handle complaints?
He does handle complaints also, absolutely. He can issue, court-ordered citations. He can, you know, initiate the process on it, I guess you'd say.
I guess I'm with Lisa, I'd like to see a job description. We should have a job description for the jobs that we have in the township. So we should have one, irregardless of how we vote here today on the raise.
Yeah, just gave you that list of them, but his wasn't included, you're right.
That's what I was going through.
He's not in the union, he's not.
he's a salary employee of the township. He's not, like she said, he's not in the bargaining unit, he's not part-time, he's just
Yeah,
appointed.
whether you're in a union or not,
Right,
doesn't matter.
doesn't
Job
matter,
description
right.
for a job that you do is kind of standard practice in most industries.
And he still receives full benefits, just like any other union.
Yes, the same as everybody else, yeah.
It's a very flexible schedule.
And averages at
Not
least.
the same hours as everybody else, he is here, but
So he's working like a full-time schedule, but just on, I mean, what, every other employee is responsible to work how many hours per week for full-time? And
I don't doubt the
35
fact that he
hours.
puts
Yeah,
in
he
that
puts-
35 hours and more, and like I said, he comes in on his days off, and
Yeah, I mean, he's always here in the morning, he comes in here at 7 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah,
I mean, he does put in his hours, but he just comes and goes a lot because he's always on the road. Especially with all the development going on in the township right now,
there's a lot going
there's
on.
a lot going on.
so without a job description, I mean, he is our building official, I guess. And at this point in time, are you saying that we need to table it till we get a job description?
I'm not saying that. I'm
I'm
just
not-
saying we need a job description regardless of what we do here
Yeah,
today.
exactly, I agree.
I mean, all the bargaining unit got 1% raise in the last couple of years, right? I think their first year was 2, and then they each got 1.
So if he got 1% per
Yeah.
year, he would have a 10% increase right now, because he's been here
Right.
10 years and he's got
Well,
2.
that's not what I was gonna say, but I'm just saying it was made a motion that we get a 3% last, whatever it was, February, and we all agreed that we'd only take 1, be consistent with the workforce, and because he hasn't had a raise in so long, I'd make a motion to give him 4%.
we have a motion.
We have a
no
motion
second.
on the table.
Oh,
Or do we have a motion?
Yes.
I made a motion to
No
go and
second.
approve the 8% raise if there's no support.
I'll second that motion.
8%?
Yep. Based on that, he's only had 2% in 10 years. And to compare it to the bargaining units, if they get 1% a year, they'd be at 10%, theirs would have been 1% compounded every year, which is bigger than what we're
Right.
proposing here today.
I think the bargaining unit, I think most of their salaries are
Their
substantially.
percentages have been bigger than 1%, just
Yeah.
1% this year.
right.
Going forward, though, and Mike, I'll support that if you second it.
I second it.
Going forward, though, I think just like we do annually, when it's budget time, that's really when we need to take a look at these types of things. And I get it, it was a one-off situation, Mike, but I just think we have to be, consistent with you know, how our practices are, and then where, I mean, I guess the next question is then where does this money come from, right? Because we've already approved a budget for a specific salary, so now we're trying to find where this money is.
So the money's gonna come from, we just had a huge increase in our inspection fees. I just said 3 residential inspections alone will pay for his annual salary.
Okay,
So, and we have, over a period of like 15 months, we had 52 new home permits issued.
Okay.
Shit.
so we have the
$1,400.
revenue coming in to
Yeah,
support this.
all the rate, all the
Okay.
inspection increases we did last month.
Our projected revenue, I can't answer for sure, but I would assume since our fees almost doubled that, the increase in fees more than pays for the increase.
The salary, okay. Thanks for answering all those questions, Mike, I appreciate it.
The new permit, the old permit fee was $765 per residential home, the new permit fee is $1,654.
Okay.
So 3 residential homes, and I think right now we would easily average 40 a year, which is, you know, quite good. So we have a motion for 8% raise supported by DeGiorgio. Is there any other discussion?
It was second by Tremblay,
No, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Second by Tremblay. There's no other discussion. Can we get a roll call, please?
wasn't it? Tremblay?
Yes.
Philbrook?
Yes?
DeGiorgio?
Yes,
Crafty?
Yes.
Kraft, yes.
Motion carries.
But I
Christine?
would suggest that we do get a job description.
I'm sure we have one, but Christine White is the one, you know, our building administrator that put this together.
Okay.
It's kind of sure.
Yeah, if
She
you-
did a good job.
She did.
It was
her
good
recommendation
information.
they got.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Thank you,
Let her
Christine.
know we appreciate hers putting this all together. And all of Ray's work too.
Let's move on to item 7B, which is our 7A, under new, going into new business, item 7A, which is our monthly utility billing. Which I think we all agree, I think right now, we do our utility billings quarterly, which is every 3 months, which is, with our increase that we've had recently with our utilities, it's, a lot of people are having a hard time getting that quarterly payment made. So we figured we would break it down to a monthly basis, something more palatable for the residents in our community. Go ahead and make that payment, something in the line of $125 a month instead of $500 a quarter, just an approximate number. Plus, I think that there's an issue with where they can't make that full payment, maybe.
yeah, they can't make more than a $300 payment with their card. They have to do it with an ACH. So it would cost more money if we lifted that maximum rate from iCloud, which is
It would
people
cost
that
the
collect them.
township additional?
Yes, they would charge more money.
I know
So
this
are we
is.
talking about sewer and water?
Yes.
Okay.
I mean, the people have the capability of coming in on a monthly basis on their own if they want to make a payment. But I guess when you get a bill, it's probably more, you feel more urgent to get in there and pay it. I think it's a good idea.
And our commercial, our industrial users, they're billed monthly. I think that is just so that they don't get that huge statement, kind of gets taken out every 3 months.
I don't think, although we were looking at the ways to do this, and the procedure, and it's gonna take a bit of doing to get it figured out, so I don't think that we can commit to a time frame. I think it's gonna have to be like August before we can actually do this, and also we have to look at the Plant Moran study. Want to get that in and then send everybody a letter, let them know what it said and what we're proposing. So I'd like to make motions to move to monthly utility billing with the effective date to be confirmed at the June meeting.
I'll support. There's no other discussion. Can we get a roll call, please?
Kraft, yes. Tremblay.
Yes.
Philbrook.
Yes?
Giorgio.
Yes?
Crafty.
Yes.
Okay, moving on, item 7B, Orange Cloud Tower lease agreement. Frankie, you want to take the floor in there?
Yeah, You've all received the agreement in the packet with Orange Cloud, and I make a motion that the board approves this agreement and allows Orange Cloud to come in and start providing our residents wireless internet service. They've been doing a trial period since 12/1, and 3/31 we extended it. We extended it on 2/15 up until 5/31. The length of this agreement is 5 years, which will be up in 2028. We will start receiving payments from them of $500 a month, June 1st, and then they will progress with the amount of customers that they receive. We have the capability of generating probably more than $1,500 a month by having them as a provider in the township and having them lease our tower space.
We have representatives from Orange County here?
I'll
Yep.
second.
A motion by Georgios, second by Kraft to go ahead and approve the contract, but I think we're gonna have some questions, maybe if some representatives from Orange County.
Is this right, Frank? Motion to approve the agreement allowing Orange Club to come and provide service to Bruce Township residents?
Yeah.
You guys wanna introduce yourself?
Yeah, Steve Porter with Orange Cloud.
And my name is Eli Nackley with Orange Cloud.
That microphone. There you go.
Thanks for coming, guys.
Sure.
Do you have a presentation you wanted to do?
Yeah, I mean, we can go through it and ask questions along the way as they arise.
Yep, go for it.
All right, so as Frank mentioned, we came to the October meeting and asked for a trial period to test it with select residents, a couple businesses, just to see if we could meet these metric thresholds and provide a better internet product in the area. And so far, yeah, it's worked great. We have 2 offerings on the residential side, currently 1 on the business side. Going through this, I'm not sure if there's any questions specifically to what our technology is, or,
Oh, why don't you go through your presentation, or they can ask as we go along.
okay, well then, can you click to the next slide? So the goal at the beginning was to bring a better quality product to give options to underserved areas. I think the pandemic opened all of our eyes. You know, you saw a lot of news coverage and a lot of funding in big cities that got people internet. They said, oh, I have to take my kids to McDonald's. And we thought, what about these rural areas of Michigan? What are people doing when they can't get like a speed to even stream a show on Netflix, let alone have kids go to school all day? So that's where the idea came into our head when we met with Frank. Next slide. So here's our offerings. If you go here to the residential side, this is currently what we have and what we're offering. 50 down, 10 up is our beginner package. 100 down, 20 up would be like our premier home package right now. We offer phone service, billings month to month, so no long-term contracts. The business side, I mean, we can really go up to like an enterprise level product if need be, but I think, what are we at, 200 for businesses?
On average, yes.
Yeah, on average, that's our speed. And again, we're testing it at 2 businesses right now, so that product will evolve and develop as the need arises. The next page. Current coverage map. It's just not really a great visual here. It was the best I could come up with from the heat maps, but
Currently, we're north and west.
So
Of
Bruce Township
the-
is probably right around here, where you're saying, or we're probably
From the tower,
from the town.
correct.
yeah. And
That was our testing phase, was north and west
Okay.
of the tower.
And then next one. As I just said, active customers, 9 residential in the testing phase, 2 at the 50 meg option, 7 at the 100 meg, and then 1 business customer. We do the Wi-Fi here.
Correct.
For the park.
There's 2, we just
Blake's?
Since this
Oh, okay, yeah.
plan.
And then if you want to speak to this piece a little bit.
Sure, I mean, this is just showing you the basic speeds, the average speeds that we're getting. And we're all using unlicensed frequency. We're not interfering with anybody else that's on the tower. And these are the speeds that we're getting with our equipment that we've put on the tower.
And these peaks and valleys right here, I mean, that's,
It's just the bandwidth that you're throttling as you go through and engage the internet.
Next slide. This is usage by day.
This is just one customer, this is their usage today, or on this particular day. So it all obviously varies on usage per subscriber.
okay. So it'll be different for everybody.
Everybody will be different, and we're just showing you that the speeds that they can hit with our equipment.
And we've been asking them to like push it, right? Stream on multiple TVs, download large files if you can, if you're working from home. Get as many people streaming, playing video games. Like, we really want to stress test this product to its max capacity.
We have a resident here today that could not get internet from anybody. And we've supplied them with internet, and
Okay. You can bring them up after the.
sure.
Yeah. Our competitive advantage, and this is like our cute wording, but you know, what we offer, we're trying to offer a better product, better upgraded equipment. It's one thing to get someone's business, how do we keep it? We want to keep staying ahead of everything. That's what we based all this on. We offer a customer service level. I don't think anybody could beat it right now, but again, we have 9 customers. So we strive, we respond, there's 5 of us, we all respond to each other, and we're getting everything answered within minutes, I would say. Satisfied customers, you'll hear from some of them, and others could probably email a testimonial or do a phone call. But yeah, next, partnership. This is a big one for us. We want to be really involved with the community. We want to be the face of the company. We want to be here more at events, the Peach Festival, like the downtown area in Romeo, like just be present more so people can come and ask us questions. They can point out stuff. If there's an issue, we want to, take it head on. And, if we get approval tonight, that's going to be our goal. Just being the face of it here. And this is our area of opportunity. A better streamlined process. Like right now, we run a survey. Timelines are a little off. They're not longer. It's just, working with a residential customer, it's got to be on when they're home, when we get access to their house. But streamlining it internally, so they log in, they say they're interested, we do a site survey, here's an install date. Availability, obviously, we would need some subnet tower, sub towers in the area to extend our signal, make our coverage area a lot bigger. As I mentioned, being more present. And then future services, just some IT support, similar to like a Best Buy Geek Squad for residential customers, stuff like that. Larger in-home Wi-Fi networks and product expansion. That's pretty much it.
So you have 9 residential customers?
Correct.
2 businesses? And you said there's some residential customers
Yep.
here now? Is there any of the businesses here?
No, I don't believe so.
You couldn't get any of them to come in and give us?
Well, other than the Township Hall.
Customers.
This is your hotspot here?
That's correct.
We were having problems with it. We were having some meetings, so we couldn't get it.
This is only serving guest access at the moment. It's not
Yeah,
serving
just the
your
guest
internet
access,
access.
not what we're- people that go out to the park.
Must be on your
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, Air Advantage isn't getting anyone, no.
Well, I know, I've heard that
Everybody wants to
too.
speak to their.
Yeah, let's hear from one of the residents. Is there more than one resident here, or just one? You're all on Orange Club?
Yeah. Thanks.
Brian Zielinski, 2345 36 Mile Road. For umpteen years trying to get internet out there.
Ryan, walk up there.
Oh, I'm sorry. So for umpteen years, we've been trying to get internet. My parents just recently passed away, so I'm purchasing their house, and they couldn't get internet. And we've been we're trying to call people. No one would help out there. And Orange Cloud came in, and for the last, 5 months, it's been wonderful. security cameras up at the house, working from home, downloading huge CAD files, have had zero buffering. It's, my opinion, it's better than Comcast.
And you couldn't get it at all.
At all. I mean, now I could never even get cell coverage. You'd have to go outside the house in order to get cell coverage. And now being able to call right from wireless, it's been great. I know my neighbors, they got rid of their house phone thinking that they could use their cell phone. They can't use their cell phones, and now they can't get back their landline. So it's been wonderful to actually have internet. So I'm hoping that the board will approve them to, have the lease agreement to use that tower, because it's been great. And their customer service has been awesome too.
Steve or Eli, can I ask how you were able to achieve internet to his location? I know it's by direct line of sight. Did you have to put a tower at his house or
We installed a small mini tower on his roof.
on his roof?
Mhm.
All right, and before the trees grow around there and they get taller, is that going to be an issue or?
It is. This is just a temporary, it was during testing period, so when we go to permanent structure, it'll be above tree line.
Thanks, Brian. Is there somebody else?
Hi, my name's Anthony Ruggiero. I'm at 77600 Fisher Road. Me and myself and another lady here, we were part of the original group that came together when Matt Lauer was putting that tower up to begin with a number of years ago. We couldn't get anything out here to begin with. Matt came along and gave us a superior, just a great product. Over time, it's gotten better, but after Air Advantage, I went from 15 megabytes download speed for $85 to over 100 for $15 more with these guys. As he was saying, customer service has been fantastic. I have never had an issue with any kind of buffering. My son, he's a younger guy. He likes to play his Xbox. He always downloads updates. Actually, both of my boys do the same thing. I still work from home, and my wife's on the internet, but we have no issues. Going forward here, I really wish you guys would approve this, this project for these guys. Like I said, they've got a great product, I think. I've never met these guys. I've talked to Steve a couple times on the phone, but I myself have allowed them to put a mini tower on my roofs so we can go further west, and north again from my place. So,
Thanks, Anthony.
Thank you.
thank you.
Thank you.
And Michelle?
Hi, Michelle Shouchard, 4845 36 Mile Road, Bruce Township, Michigan. Thank you, Frank, for finding Orange Cloud, because I have to tell you, I would have to unplug my security. I would have to unplug my phone, the Sprint thing that they gave me so my phone would work, so my son could work from home. And it was like everything had to get unplugged or plugged back in. Netflix would twirl around forever. You had to pause it for 15 minutes to watch a Netflix show. I went from a speed that was around 16 to now over 100. And paying less, because I was paying for 50 download, and I wasn't getting 50. And they were charging me 150, Air Advantage was. So I'm now getting it for $50 less.
Watch out, I see their guys.
Yeah, I was gonna say, we go back to that slide, Frank, our pricing model, no, I'm just kidding.
No,
Just kidding.
Okay, that I will be upset, but no, but thank you, Frank. I have to thank you for that one, because
Thank these
it's
guys.
been great. I've only had it for a month, a little over a month, but it's been great.
Thanks, Michelle.
Thank you very much.
Hi, I'm Martha Walton. I live at 78300 Fisher, and I don't have these guys yet. I've been trying to get it, but I've been waiting for this meeting. I got to tell you, when we moved here from Shelby in 2011, I was stunned, literally stunned that we couldn't get internet out here. And for a while, we got some internet, some terrible internet through Verizon. It was like $200 and some a month. And then Silvaris came in, and that was an improvement, but there was a lot of problems. And Air Advantage is a little bit better, but not really. And, my husband is getting near retirement age, and he'd like to move his office at home and work more from home and not pay an office fee, and he's not able to do that because we don't have adequate internet coverage. Also, living this far out, I'd like to get a home security system like a Ring system. Can't do it because we don't have adequate internet. So I'm really hoping that you guys approve these guys and that this will be a much needed improvement. And also I can't help but think that this would improve our home values in this area too, because I think there's families that don't move out here for that very reason, or that is one of the reasons they don't move out here, because it's so far behind the times. I mean, it's just unbelievable. So, thank you. I hope you guys approve it.
Thanks, Marcia.
Thank you.
Rick Lee, 77585 Fisher Road, had air advantage, it stinks. Orange cloud came in, high speeds, no problems, multitasking. So I don't know why you have any problem not approving it. And I hope you went to the federal government and requested some money for rural internet that you can donate to the cause. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
What are the two businesses you currently use?
One, I believe, is called Chicken Math. It's in Bruce Township.
What's it called?
We have Chad, is it Chicken Math?
They're one we're still surveying, we don't have them fully live.
Oh, okay. What's the other business?
The township hall.
The Township Hall?
Tried getting some other businesses on it, but their landlords wouldn't allow them into the building to do what they needed to do. And all they were doing is trying to drill a hole the size of a pencil. That was Fiddler Cove.
Although we are scheduled to go to Heather Hills Golf Course next week.
What about like Blake's up on Van Dyke, because I know it's in the Elmont Township.
Not the one on Van Dyke, the one on Armada Road.
Yeah.
We are servicing them as well.
Okay, I guess now it's time for questions and answers, right?
Sure.
The mini towers you guys have installed,
We have not installed any mini towers.
You mean on the roofs to grab the signal?
yeah, what are those things on the roof of these? I heard it called a mini tower.
So the mini towers that we're talking about, and I'm sorry, do you mind?
Oh, yeah, sorry.
No, it's okay.
I'm not moving, so.
You're good.
You can't see your audience.
Yeah, right. The mini towers that we're talking about they're existing mini towers spread out across Bruce Township. They're owned by Air Advantage.
He's talking about the ones on their
Right.
roofs. They
On the roofs, we
You installed
call,
something on the roofs of some people to improve their service.
correct. They're not considered really a mini tower. They're just a long extension pole that we mount the
Like a long
equipment on.
antenna.
Yeah.
Yep.
So they're not used to repeat to other,
No.
so do those things stay?
For some they do.
Charge?
For some they do, yes.
And for those that don't, will they not have service?
Well, no, for example, the one for Mr. Zelinski, that one's going to get moved to a permanent structure on his
But it would
property.
still service him.
Absolutely.
So do you guys have many towers to produce the signal and push it farther beyond the tower?
Well, we had to get approval first.
Yes, we will have those, yes.
So in your plan, how much of a dead zone will Bruce Township have when you're finished?
How much of a dead zone?
Yeah, where people can't get it still?
Um,
Or will you cover
where-
the entire township will now have the ability to buy internet services
Our goal is to cover all of Bruce Township.
through the use of whatever technologies, provided you can get access points or repeated towers?
Correct.
The repeater towers are owned by Air Advantage currently, right? I mean, we own the tower at 36 Mile Road, but are you able to get, I mean, obviously you're gonna have to put repeater towers throughout the community. I know there's three that I know of. I mean, there's 4 of them already currently in service. Are you gonna put repeater towers up if Air Advantage won't let you use theirs, or and what's your goal? If, you know?
In certain areas where there are towers today, we can probably hit them without using their towers. With just direct to the Hip Road Tower. So our technology is far more superior than the ones that are out there today. Some areas are going to need a tower because of the elevation, and some areas are not.
There's no 5G, right?
There's no 5G for the equipment that we're using. We're not using 5 gig now.
5G doesn't work out here anyway.
We got a moratorium. I mean, still with the planning commission, right? No 5G.
5G is still an ongoing topic of discussion at the planning commission level.
Well, cell phone. different than.
Yeah, 5 gig was a cell phone, not type.
Did you have some questions for him, Mike?
I got one more regarding the contract 6A. This is a question for the township office. There's an obligation for the township to maintain and pay the premium for liability insurance regarding the tower, both damaged persons and property. Do we have that in place?
6A?
Yes.
Yeah, that's under our umbrella policy.
It covers the township.
Yeah.
Because it's on our property.
Wouldn't it be, I guess, appropriate that we be listed as an additional insured by Orange Cloud at the same time? Would that be in there?
They did provide insurance on the back page.
It doesn't show, we're not listed, I think it needs to be in the contract that we be listed as an additional insured.
This was all run by attorneys, and they approved it the way it was. And the insurance did come up, and they said, you have your own, and they have theirs.
I know, but everything, including the school contract, everybody's got an additional insured, and even the QSG tower maintenance agreement shows that they list us an additional insured.
We're unable to add you as an additional insured until the agreement's approved.
But it's not in the contract, that's what I'm saying.
The insurance is in the contract.
Your
It
insurance
doesn't-
certificate, but it's not stated in the contract that we would be listed as an additional insured. So we're trying to approve the contract, but we'd like to see that in there.
Okay,
Possibly.
no problem.
Could you guys add that?
Yes.
6B?
You got any, I know it's gonna be hard, but, because you gotta just maybe take it on average, but I know it's broken down with 100 customers at 5%, 175 at 6% of your gross revenue, and then 7% 250 subscribers or more. You got an idea what that would equate to? Let's just say you get 175 subscribers or more, what 6% of your gross monthly income would equate to as far as revenue for the township, at least on average?
Just on average, so I don't have exact numbers,
Right.
but in year one, we're anticipating $500 a month. In year two, it's about 1,000, and in year three, it's 1,500.
What's your average customer pay per month? I think that's the question Mike's really asking, to figure out what 7% of that would be, or 6% of that.
It's going to range between $75 per month or $100 per month.
Is there currently any consideration being made for our seniors in the community for maybe an additional discounted rate or anything like that? I've spoken to a few seniors that would love to have internet service, but it's just, cost prohibitive. I know your prices are very reasonable, but it's cost prohibitive to somebody who's on a very limited income. And so I didn't know if there would be any consideration for that.
We've talked about it.
Okay.
We've thrown the idea back and forth, and we said we'll meet with people individually, assess what they're actually using the internet for, and they only might need it they might stream one show or check email.
Okay.
We can do a very small package in certain scenarios for a reduced rate. And again, it would have to be like an individual case basis.
Okay.
And we're fine with meeting with everybody, so.
That would be great, thank you.
So I see that it says that we have to furnish and maintain an adequate generator for the tower at the township's sole cost. That would include all the fuel that would be needed. And I know that during a power interruption, I think that we only have an 8 kilowatt generator out there, which is only gonna draw a lot of fuel. But we were trying to do the calculations the other day with the schools out there.
Sure.
I think on a 2 or 3 day power outage, it may drain that, I think it's 100 gallon tank out there? You guys are familiar? Small?
I think it's a 250 gallon tank that's out there.
What's it?
250 gallon tank?
So,
I calculated it out, I think it was like 96 hours of runtime at full run.
and we gotta kind of figure that, take that into consideration, what it's gonna cost us. We have to fill it at the township's expense.
I'm just letting you know, like, in that area, and brought up, I got connected to Van Dyke, we've never been gone, that I've known, for 2 days. I mean, it's hours, but not.
Now you mention that,
I know, right?
jinx us all.
Careful what you say, Michelle.
How much was the last refill?
I don't know the price on it. I mean, the last refill was a full top-up, and I don't know when it was done prior to that. I think it was quite a number of years.
I think it was like around $200.
You know, and it's typically like, Michelle said, it's an hour here, an hour there.
Right.
It's very short run time, it's very low load.
Unless you live on Fisher. Because they're hooked up to Leonard. That's why I got disconnected.
So the fuel tank, we believe, was right around $200 and $230 for 70% refill, well, over the course of 2 years.
We're responsible for all the maintenance to keep the tower in good condition and repairs,
Yes.
at all the township's expenses.
That'll be addressed in the next contract.
Why do you pay for it now?
You don't know?
Aren't you paying for it now
For
for
Air-
Air
Air
Advantage?
Advantage?
You're doing the same thing for Air Advantage, all right? Because they're on that tower.
Right.
So what's the-
So,
The maintenance cost.
Well,
You gotta make a contract
we're just
with them.
asking questions that we want, let us conduct our board meeting. You guys, we can maybe get comments from you later, but we're aware of what it is, so. Frank, has this contract been looked at by the township attorney?
Yes, it has, as well as some input from Mike Tremblay. Thank you.
Did legal have anything in here that they wanted to change from the original or no?
Yes, they did, but I don't recall what they were, but they accommodated everything. I have the thread of emails.
But they got any changes or legal
They
recommendation?
accommodated everything we asked for. These guys have been great to work with,
You got that wording from Seaver?
from Christine Anderson.
Okay, I got no other questions.
We have to have a different motion to do the minutes, change. Okay, what you want?
Make a motion for the board to approve the contract as presented with the addition of Bruce Township being added to the insurance
Is it just insurance?
as an additional insured. Yeah.
Support.
Susan. Support by Lisa.
No, that's correct.
Is there any other discussion?
Susan didn't support it, I did.
If there's no other discussion, can we get a roll call, please?
Crappy,
Yes.
Tremblay,
Yes.
Gilbert,
Yes.
Crafty, yes, DeGiorgio.
Yes?
Congratulations, guys. Thanks, everybody, for coming out.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Should we put a list here with anybody who wants to sign
Yeah.
up and?
That would be.
Pamphlets right
And we
here.
have
They got
we have some
already made
pamphlets
out.
too, we'd like to.
Yeah.
What next?
You got it. Here, let me give you my card.
Are they representing QSG also?
Yeah.
Frank,
They own QSG.
Thank you all.
Eli.
Thanks, Frank.
thank you
Yep.
for all your.
Thank all you guys for your
That was a
support.
big deal.
I'm concerned about all the maintenance fees and everything that's gonna run.
Yeah, but Mike, we've got those obligations already with our existing.
Yeah.
Thank you guys.
Thank you.
Take care.
Thank you.
Thank you.
With their advantage.
I've talked to you about
Right.
Accept all responsibility.
That's normal.
Yeah.
That's normal.
The way this is gonna thrive, I mean, it's just-
No one ever maintained that, luckily nothing ever happened, but no one ever maintained that. Once the roadway, the generator, anything over there until these guys came in and went and did an inspection.
So none of that had been previously
No,
maintained?
they took care of it, yeah, and brought it.
Wow. Thank you.
You
I
want?
work, Eli, I guess you're gonna be representing our next item, which is 7C, which QSG Tower Maintenance Agreement.
Yes.
Did you have a presentation there, or just here to answer questions?
I'm just here to answer questions, yes.
So again, Eli and myself negotiated an agreement with this, and very easy to work with. Mike Tremblay had some suggestions here that we made changes with them. Then sent it to our attorney for their input. So I make a motion that the board accept this QSG agreement with the changes that are highlighted in yellow with the new packet that I gave you. You'll see that on 2G, that word has been modified based on Christine Anderson's request.
Where's that?
On page 2,
Yep.
G. It's in it's in the packet that I gave you before the meeting. See how it's highlighted in yellow? Yep, she had those changes in there. Everything you asked for, he agreed to.
Okay, thank you.
On page 3, they changed the word from may to shall. On page 4, they went from, Christine asked that they put in the wording, the most recent version, if they have to put in the system back together, the most recent one is what they want. And then on page 7, on the bottom where it says the tower maintenance, $100 a month, that was on a different page. She wanted it listed on Exhibit A. So I make a motion that the board accepts this agreement, the changes that are in yellow.
Support by, motion by Georgia, support by Kraft.
I got a question regarding your capitalization of QSG.
Yes.
Is that a subsidiary of Orange Cloud?
No, it's not. Two separate companies.
Two separate companies?
Yes.
Privately owned?
Privately owned.
And are you one of the owners or just an employee?
Nope, I'm one of the owners of both.
Okay. Is there a reason why you formed two different companies?
QSG is a commercial, servicing commercial companies. Orange Cloud is residential.
So Orange Cloud is residential, so you're handling the.
Orange Cloud is,
Of our community, and then QSG is handling us as a corporate entity for the.
that's correct.
maintenance of the tower. Okay,
That's
thank you
correct.
very much.
Mhm.
Can I ask what you're capitalized at?
For QSG, around 6 million.
Around six- okay, thank you.
Hmm?
So to give you a little history, once we acquired the tower, no one had gone out there to do any maintenance work on the ground near the tower or the generator that was out there,
The fuel.
fuel. And so they went out there, they told me about it, I gave them the go-ahead to go out there and do what they had to do. I think they charged us like $600 to do it. So as we kept talking further in discussion, we came to realize that Air Advantage was not paying the electrical bill, we were paying it, and that cost $200 a month for us. So out of that $850 that we're getting from them, that we were receiving from them, $200 was going right to the electricity bill. There's nothing in the agreement that states that Air Advantage pays any of their electricity bill or nothing. So we had to eat that cost for the last 6 months of $200 a month. So what we decided, and it's in here in the agreement, is that the electricity would be put in their name, and then they would pay the bill accordingly and then charge anybody else that's going to use that electricity, charge them appropriately, whatever energy
So
they're
they'll
using.
act as our administrator for that?
Pardon me?
They're acting as our administrator?
Yes, they're acting as our administrator for
Part
that.
of the fee?
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah. And then they will go out there, you'll see on page 2 where they go out there, that's what they're going to maintain, you know, the generator, they're going to run it weekly, bi-weekly, the propane tank, the electric service. These are all safety checks and things that they have to do on an annual basis or monthly basis, I don't know how you do it, but.
Correct. We're going to maintain the tower as well, make sure that it's structurally sound. For example, the tower is still, it's not in Bruce Township's name. So we're going to assist in getting that switched over to Bruce Township.
The FCC stuff, right? Yeah.
Correct, yep.
Eli, you were part of that meeting we had today regarding Romeo Schools repeater tower.
Yes, sir.
If you put the electric in your name, you know, obviously there's going to be the issue with having to power up the repeater tower for the Romeo Schools in order to get radio communication with their bus drivers. I did get some more wording as far as what kind of amperage that enclosure is going to be. It looks like a total of about, I think it's 5 amps total.
Yeah, that's what we calculated.
It's gonna be a total of 8 amps, 4 amps for the cabinet and 4 amps for the, equipment.
Okay.
So, we can get a breakdown, obviously you can do it yourself, it's how much per kilowatt, and we can give you an idea. I guess that the school would then at that time, either would have to write you a check monthly or yearly, whatever you guys decide.
Absolutely.
But in order to put a meter in, another meter in out there, and, another meter cannon, we'd be looking at $7,300 for the, plus additional cost of $7,000 from Edison, looks like maybe around $14,000 to run a new wire and a new electric, panel for them only. So I think that would be an issue with you servicing that.
No, the only thing that we discuss is whether they're going to be on direct feed from power or they're going to be off of the generator.
The last communication, Buzz, is basically that they'll still be looking at the, they're gonna be looking at being on, the Edison side, which would be the backup power when the power does go out. And it does look like it's only 60% of the 60% of the capable load of the generator. So there should be plenty of power for the generator there.
There is, yeah, there's plenty of power on the generator. However, the panel that is fed from the generator, there's no more room on it. So we would just have to upgrade the panel to add an additional circuit for the school.
So they have a pretty reputable company that's gonna be doing their electrical work out there for them. I mean, if we need to have an increase in the panel, would you have any objections to having their electric company, Metro Electric? I don't know if you're familiar with.
We are, yeah, no objections at all, other than they need to have us out there on site when they do it, because it's going to cut power.
Right, yeah.
So we have to feed it with temporary generator until the new sub panel is installed.
Does anybody else have any more questions?
I got one more.
Hmm?
We're doing a 5-year term on Orange Cloud
Correct.
and a 3-year term on the tower. Is there a reason why the two aren't the same?
Well, so they are two separate companies. Orange Cloud is a tenant of the tower, and then QSG is maintaining the tower for the township. So there's no difference in the terms.
One is a 3-year term.
Correct. I mean, there's no,
Maintaining the tower is a 3-year term. I just
they're
wanted,
two separate companies. I mean, the maintenance agreement, we can change that to a 5-year if you'd like, but we, as QSG, we have 3-year terms.
we have a 5-year agreement with Orange Cloud, we only have a 3-year agreement with QSG. They're owned by the same company. There's motivation they have. I mean, one's maintaining the tower and one's providing services to our residents. I would think they should have the same length of term, 5 years, if you guys are okay with that.
We're okay with that, yes.
I would propose that we approve it with a 5-year term. So it's coterminous with the other one.
Okay.
So the motion is a motion for the board to accept the QSG agreement with changes, so that includes the changes. Are you comfortable with that?
Yeah.
I think that's the only thing that changed.
Yeah.
Well, he had changes.
The highlighted.
Oh, the highlighted ones, yes. Those were recommended by Christine.
And you don't have any problem with the continued rate remaining the same for those 2 additional years, or?
No,
Okay. I just wanted to make sure for you guys too.
no, we're good.
Okay, thank you.
You are way too fair.
Well, I mean, we want to continue doing business with the people that are doing something wonderful for our township, so we have to look out for everybody's best interest.
Thank you.
But thank you.
I don't have any more questions. Anybody else? We have a motion and a second. There's no other question. Can we get a roll call, please?
Tremblay.
Yes.
Hilbert.
Yes?
Giorgio.
Yes.
Kraft, yes. Massey.
Yes.
Thanks, Eli.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks a lot, Eli.
Forward to working.
See you around.
Thanks.
Okay, moving on, item 7E, the Bruce Township Cemetery payment.
What about D?
D, tower
Tower
upgrades.
upgrades.
Oh, that's for the, we just kind of covered that a little bit. So I think you guys are aware, we've talked about this a little bit, the Romeo School District has a dead area up there where they lose radio communication between the school and the buses. and they asked if they could put a repeater tower on our tower on 36 Mile Road in order to achieve and keep communication between the school buses. We all thought it was a great idea. We've got a contract that's been approved by the attorney, and the schools have worked that out. Now we're working out the incidentals in regards to where the antenna is going to be placed on the tower. Seems to be a little bit of miscommunication on that, which I think Frank can vouch for because we had a meeting today. Also, in regards to not having to put in another meter can or another electric meter and just going off of what we currently are using out there and then make compensation and payment to whoever's going to be paying the electric bill on it. So, I mean, I don't know if we even need a motion on this at all because there's really nothing to move on because there's no cost out of the township. We've already approved to have the repeater tower put on there, and the contract's already been approved. So just, I think it's just more of a, communication. So we're getting close. So these guys are working on it together, so.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks, everybody. All right, now we can move on to item 7E, which is the Bruce Township Cemetery pamphlet. Frank?
Yeah, this is also informational, something informational put together. We had this idea about putting this little pamphlet together because, I mean, like myself, for the longest time, I never knew that the cemeteries in the township belonged to the township and you had to go to them to buy a plot. So I figured by having, there's probably a lot of residents out there like that as well. So by having this pamphlet, maybe having it out, laying in different places, even out in the hallway here, it might promote some people to do some early planning, because again, Christine could attest to this, there's a lot of people that don't know where their loved ones are gonna be buried and stuff when they pass, and they're here at the last minute scramble, so. I guess I need to make a motion, it's gonna cost about $500 to make 1,000 of these.
You are making a motion?
Yes, I'll make a motion for the board to approve the printing of these pamphlets and distribute in various areas throughout the township.
I'll support Frank. It's a nice pamphlet, and we should have something like this in regards to get out to our residents. So. Does anybody have any questions for Frank?
Yeah, was there any discussion maybe having one or two of the local cemeteries help defray the cost of it? Most of the
Cemeteries.
Or local funeral homes, I'm sorry.
Oh, no, there wasn't. I didn't reach out to them.
Because sometimes they will pay for publications for different things. Maybe worthwhile, maybe.
Yeah,
ask
I
them.
could reach out to them, but, yeah,
You got a couple in the area.
feel about it.
I don't know why they would. I'm not really sure.
They do calendars, they do prayer cards.
Right.
They would have to do some kind of advertising on you, you're saying?
Yeah, they could put in the back, they could put.
Oh, yeah,
they're right. Funeral.
Want to change your motion somehow, and word that in there, contingent, or try to get some
Yeah.
funding, or
Ask it.
you want to add
And we
something?
put their name on the back.
Yeah, so make a motion that the board approve the printing of these pamphlets with the advertisement of local funeral homes placed on it at their discretion,
To help defray.
to help defray the costs, yeah.
They would pay for the publicity.
Okay.
But if that fails to happen, then we haven't approved the pamphlet.
I would say that we make
With
it
the
a
option.
Right, the option.
We can.
Okay, with the option,
There you go.
It would be nice if they would do it.
yeah.
I'll support. So if there's no other discussion, can we get a roll call, please?
Crafty,
Yes.
Trombley,
Yes.
Kraft, yes, DeGiorgio,
Yes?
Gilbert.
Yes. Thanks, Frank.
Thank you.
Thank you, Frank.
Under item 7F, the Sage Human Resources. Susan, is that something you're working on?
That's actually a recommendation from Lisa because her company, this is a recommendation Lisa had because her company uses this Sage Solutions. And I had a Zoom meeting with them last week, I guess, or this week, I don't remember. But I gave you all a packet kind of outlines it. I also, in the board pack, because I didn't get this information from them until too late for the board pack, I just gave you a little summary here. They would do a 40 question survey. It's 5 to 20 minutes for people to answer the questions. It's $3,500, and they will, by taking the survey, they will be able to determine whether or not employees are engaged or not, and the reasons why they are engaged or not. She said the two reasons why they might not, they might not engage with organizational factors or opportunity for growth. Reasons for problems fall usually, about 70% of the reason is supervisor or manager related. Chain of command is also important, good policies and good procedures. Once they get the results, then they give you an action plan. So that's just a brief summary, and then what she sent is more of a detailed outline.
What were your thoughts after the Zoom meeting?
I was impressed. I'm not sure that we really have done all we can do with the other work we had done. We really haven't gone over that, so.
I kind of agree, we just pay to have something recently done. If it costs us $6,500, I don't think we can follow through on that.
I just gave this to you tonight, so maybe you want to look it over and talk about it again at a later date.
I would prefer to.
I guess my feelings were, one, this is a reputable company, but number two, I guess this is what I was expecting, that we were going to get when we originally paid the $6,500 for the last representative coming in. I guess I was expecting a little bit more analysis side of it, not just.
Direction.
And direction, like, towards action planning. So I agree with you and Mike that just to do another 3,500 when we kind of know some of the issues already, it's just how do we go about
I don't
putting
know
an
if
action
we've
plan?
really dug into the HR findings that we've already received.
Exactly.
It was way premature.
But we have it on file. I was, we looked for so long, we talked about this for so long, it's nice to have an option.
Yeah.
You want to make a motion to look at this at a later date? I don't know if we can actually table it, we can possibly give us an opportunity to look over, maybe work on what we currently have and then see if we need to move to the next level.
Maybe we need a motion, and then we just kind of.
Table it for.
Okay, sounds good.
Susan, thanks for taking the time though to go through
It was
all this.
interesting.
It is very interesting, good group of people, so.
Okay, moving on, item 7G, the Orchard Grove liquor license, we got a representative here.
Yeah.
Thanks for being so patient.
No worries.
Best dressed guy in the crowd tonight.
He's coming from.
Yeah, I'm coming from downtown Detroit. Was at work today.
Canada, so he's.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, they sent me. So my name is Sid Spano. I'm from the Kitch Law Firm in Detroit, and I'm here on behalf of my client, Trilogy Healthcare, and its nursing facility that it owns, Orchard Grove Health Campus. They're located within Bruce Township under a Village of Romeo address at 71150 Orchard Crossing Lane. So just to keep things short, my client seeks to enrich the lives of its residents by allowing them the leisure and casual nature of being able to consume and purchase alcoholic beverages on site for themselves as well as any of their visitors. It gives them the ability to enjoy their favorite drink amongst family and friends and company. So the facility, as a skilled care facility and assisted living facility, would apply for an on-premises retailer license, with the license type specifically being a continuing care retirement center license. Now, the application requires local government authorization from the Bruce Board, voted and approved under Form LCC 106. Now, this entire application is governed under the Michigan Liquor Control Commission, MLCC. So this local government authority, it does not count towards any local quotas regarding liquor licenses. This is merely a formality. So the MLCC, like I said, they're in total control of this on-premises retailer license if and when it's approved. So we're not asking for any local licenses or tavern licenses of any kind. It's, once again, just the formality. MLCC takes care of the rest.
Currently, you guys have a liquor license. I know we approved that a couple years ago. This is just for retail purposes now?
This is for them to be able to sell on premises to residents and guests and whoever's there.
Isn't it free to the residents currently or no?
That I'm not too sure about.
And is that going to jeopardize our
No.
current liquor license? We only have one available left in the
No, that,
Several different kinds, and we have one of two kinds, but this is just a formality and doesn't affect that, so.
This will not affect the current request by, 3 Oaks. Okay. Now, what happened? So this, we do not, so why is it before us?
Because it comes to us first, we approve, then it goes to the state, and then do the rest.
But it doesn't have anything to do with the one liquor license that we have left.
no.
No, you just mentioned that.
The attorney could probably answer, but I think it's some kind of form.
It's-
They have to answer from the state of Michigan is required that you come to the township or local
Yeah.
municipality to get approval.
One of the many requirements that, the only one that would concern you is this local authorization. That's what the MLCC requires. So it's just a formality. It doesn't count towards any sorts of licenses or having to take over someone else's license or anything like that.
Want a motion?
I'd like to make a motion to approve the Orchard Grove for an on-premises liquor license as presented. I'll support.
Is it on-premises liquor license, on-premises retail license? Excuse me, I just.
On-premises retailer license.
Retail to retail. Thank you.
Lisa, did you second? I said, yes.
If there's no other discussion, can we get a roll call, please?
Philbrook,
Yes?
Giorgio,
Yes.
Tremblay,
Yes.
Crafty. Yes. Kraft, yes.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Moving on to item 7H, which is the Cordy resolution. Is anybody here from? Oh,
Yes.
you don't look like Brad.
A little background on this. This is different than we thought. It's not IFT. We set a public hearing, but we don't need it for this because it's just a speculative building resolution, which Sigrid worked on.
Yeah.
It was the bill work, so.
I'm somewhat familiar with the speculative.
Yeah, so just how it's different. So my name is Kurt Chwanek. I'm with Macomb County Planning and Economic Development. So we've been working with our group here, our team at the Planning and Economic Development Group has been working with Brad to put this application in place. And so we fully support it from an economic development, both from a county and certainly from your community standpoint as an economic development partner of ours. So the difference is that the application looks very similar as an industrial facilities tax exemption certificate. If Brad was so he owns Distinguished Development. So he was here a number of years ago. So he was so his business was a qualified entity, so they could make the application directly for the certificate and then enjoy that benefit, right? Receive that benefit in exchange for creating jobs, et cetera. There's a 6-month look-back period with these. So because Brad is not he's no longer an eligible applicant for a certificate because he's not the tenant. He's just the property owner and the developer. The future, what this does is then preserve the right of a future tenant, assuming they're an eligible manufacturer and they're an eligible applicant, they can then apply for the certificate. They'd go through the same process here, but instead of checking that box, they would not check it, and they would get the certificate. And that's when, if and when your team here, your group here would approve that application, a certificate would be issued by the State Tax Commission, and then the 50% abatement of the real property taxes would kick in. That could be a year from now, 3 years from now, whenever a tenant is identified and put in place. There's a 6-month, I guess, why spec building, right? Why spec? Because there's a 6-month look-back period. So at the time of construction, you have a 6-month look-back period. So from the time that shovel goes in the ground, you have 6 months as an applicant to get a certificate, to put this application in place. Because Brad doesn't have a tenant, the tenant is truly the applicant who would receive the benefit of the certificate. So this preserves the right, because he doesn't have a tenant right now, but ideally will. But it's a holding, right? It's just a holding and preserving of that right for the future tenant to be able to apply for a certificate, industrial facility tax exemption certificate. So you're approving this spec designation, or the spec status as it would be, doesn't really do anything. It just creates the ability for a eligible tenant to then submit an application to you for review at some point in time. So just I want to let you know that you're not committing to anything. You're just preserving the right for the tenant, if they are an eligible manufacturer, to be able to apply for that. And from a competitive standpoint, I think it does a couple of different things, right? It makes Brad's building competitive, because you get a tenant coming in next door or down the street or in another township, and they can apply directly if they can start with construction. And so Brad would be at a disadvantage in not being able to have that tenant being able to do that. So I think it's good. So it will attract, it will make the building a lot more attractive here in the township than if it were not designated with that status.
Let me throw it back in terms of, I may further clarify
Sure.
in my own mind. So this really is a timing issue.
Correct, yeah.
So once the shovel goes in the ground, you have a 6-month look back. So if it takes 9 months for this to get built, and Brad hasn't put this, what you're proposing here together, the new tenant would not have an opportunity to even apply for the IFT.
Correct, right, because that 6-month look back period.
How long does that preservation last?
I've seen it for years where buildings have just sat there without a tenant. I don't know the exact, but I know there's a long period of time. I don't know if there is a sunset on this.
So I think when we talked about the IFTs before, when we granted one, we had a lot of debate over that. One of the things we talked about was putting in some type of guidelines for the board to consider it. Not that it would impact his decision necessarily, but it would if someone were to come back to us. I think it was a good time to maybe resurrect it.
I'm working on it.
You haven't?
Yeah, so anyways, what Kurt's actually asking is basically, Brad's got a vacant building, he's gonna build it in a multi-tenant, where he's just gonna be the builder and he's gonna rent it out to different tenants. Doesn't know if he's gonna get one tenant to take the whole building, or if it's gonna be 3 different tenants inside the
Right.
building. It's an incentive where he can maybe get tenants to possibly inspire them a little bit more, that they're gonna get a tax break or a tax exemption on that building, so it's gonna make his.
So they have the opportunity to apply for it.
Well, exactly, and then we're gonna base it, we can base it on the criteria, what type of use they've got, what kind of investment they've got, what total annual, how many full-time employees they've got in there. There is a criteria in which we can base it on. But what he thinks that Brad is looking for right now is just maybe a memorandum of understanding that we would grant an IFT to a.
No, I don't think that's what he's looking for at all.
No, just it allows by approving the resolution, it grants the status of the building to be a speculative building, and that then allows the future tenant, if they're eligible for the application, then to apply for, and then that would be presented. Then at that point,
We're not committing anything at all to an IFT.
Nope.
Right. No,
We're just
No.
providing an opportunity for someone to apply for it because of 6 months.
Right, and he's doing a great job. I mean, I know if you've been to his, he's got his building
You know
at the
Court
end.
very well, it's like
Yeah,
family now.
yeah, it's a beautiful building. He's got this one, he's got another one. He's really doing a great thing over there, doing a good job in developing that whole park that he's got.
So the landlord can't get the IFT, it's gotta be the tenant, more of the building.
Unless
Right.
the landlord is a tenant, obviously.
Yeah, now, Brad was able to get one on his building, but he applied but he was the applicant. Here, he's not. He wouldn't be an eligible applicant because he's the He's the developer. Now, if he were distinguished development and he were able to put his business in there, he would be able to apply, but he's not doing that. So he would not be able to apply for a certificate at that point. You miss the 6-month window, and then.
What's confusing to me in our board pack says application for industrial facility tax abatement. And that's not what you're describing.
What was the question?
Well, in the packet, it's described as industrial facilities tax exemption certificate. But that's not what that's what you're asking for, right?
No, correct. Just to, yes, approve the resolution and you're.
So what is that, a resolution that's made at the board table?
Yeah, so the attorney.
Copy of the minutes or something?
Yeah, so the attorney,
I think that's where I was talking, maybe it's a letter of understanding that you're gonna need.
yeah,
something.
it's just a resolution approving, yeah, it's just a resolution. So your attorney had put together a letter that I think is in your packet. And so I reviewed it, he prepared it, he's good with it.
Resolution.
Right.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the Cordy speculative building resolution as presented.
Support.
Support by DeGiorgio.
And Bob, okay. He wrote it, okay.
Yeah, he wrote it, he and I went back, yeah, just so it was clear as to what was being asked in the resolution and what you're approving.
That way he's got something, that's great.
Yeah, and you have to have that resolution in order for something in the future to occur.
If we don't have any other questions for Kurt, or any other discussions, we have a motion, a roll call for discussing.
Crafty.
Yes.
Philbrook.
Yes,
Tremblay.
Yes.
Giorgio.
Yes.
Kraft, yes.
Kurt, thanks for coming.
Okay, thank you very much.
Tell Brad to keep
Have a
up
good
the good
day.
work. Moving on to, item 7J, the fireworks permit, Parks and Recreation.
So we're on,
Oh, Trilogy?
yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah. Item 7I, the Trilogy utility billing credit.
Okay, this is a hard bill to swallow. This is,
Want me to do it? All right.
you know what? If you look here, you can see the list of how we're reimbursing them. I have a list here, kind of how, explanation, a little bit of what happened over the last few months and how this came about. I first noticed there was a problem back about a year ago.
Yep.
And these are different steps that we took, and unfortunately, it took a year to figure out, and the amount is going to be a total of $68,612.47. You can see that at the bottom of the page in your packet, sorry. And they owed, originally it was, a bigger number than that, but they haven't paid for the last couple of months, so we subtracted that, so that's the final total.
So this
In
is
the end, there
retro,
was a decimal issue.
retroactive to June of '22.
Yes.
So in our packet for each time period of bill dates, it's previous read, current read adjustment. What does that mean?
What it was previously, then they had to correct it and then adjusting the bill. So the amount at the bottom of each one.
Part about the decimal, Mike, is that we were billing them for 1,000 gallons and it should have been 100 gallons, it should have been a .0.
That was the issue, retro to June, and has been corrected currently?
Well, since, yeah, I think yeah, whenever the software was completed.
Yeah, we were advised not to move ahead with these. I really should have waited to get a feel for any issues.
Well, it would have been money we didn't collect anyways, I mean. So, yeah, it's corrected now.
So,
We don't vote on this, right? I mean, this is a correction.
Yeah, I think we should agree.
It's a big adjustment.
Yeah. I'd like to make a motion to approve the refund payment to Trilogy for $68,612.47.
I show 71,
I shall second.
71, 290, 42.
You've got updated information.
Yeah, on the bottom of this list right here.
That's as the last.
That was as of yesterday. So.
Oh, okay. I'll support. Is there any other questions?
so are we writing them a check for this, or is it gonna be credited each month until we reach that 60 or 71?
The water funds and write them check.
We're gonna have to write them a check, we can't, monthly credit? No.
And we're 99% sure that this is not going to be a recurring item.
Yes.
I went out there, I
Whatever was wrong is correct.
I spent a lot of time on it, and I double checked it and checked it and double checked it.
So you're good with the numbers and good that.
100, believe me, I did not want to see this at all myself, and that's why I really went into it heavy.
And are we concerned with there being any other businesses that we may
No, we really
have the same
investigated.
problem?
Joanne has spent a lot of time on this.
Okay.
There were so many issues went to this over, so she's really doing a good job. It's not been an easy project.
So we have a motion by Kraft, supported by Philbrook. Is there any other discussion? Can we get a roll call, please?
Tremblay.
Yes.
Philbrook.
Yes.
Crafty.
Yes.
Giorgio.
Yes.
Kraft, yes.
Motion carries. Thanks, tell Joanna and everybody, thank you for that.
Thank you for all their hard work on this.
Yeah.
It hurts.
And on item 7J, the Parks and Recreation fireworks permit. Everybody's got that application in their board packet. Chief, you want to go ahead and take this one?
Yeah, I just know that Mark's been doing it for the last 4 years. It's a spectacular job. We make sure we have, we go out there and pre-inspect what he has, his locations, and we put grass trucks and fire trucks and an ambulance out there for the event. And, yeah, I don't see any reason why he would decline it. I mean, this is his 4th year, so.
Make a motion to support fireworks display?
I'll second.
As presented.
Yes,
I got, just before you make that motion, there's, one thing is that the insurance is gonna lapse on June 1st of 2023. I would just, because this fireworks is not gonna be until after that point, I would just make the motion and contingent upon we receive,
Amy's
updated
already called
policy.
on this.
Okay. But that.
Good point, Mike.
Contingent on.
Updated.
Is that okay, Frank?
Yeah, perfect.
Lisa?
yes.
All right, so we have a motion and support. If there's no other discussion, can we get a roll call?
Philbrook.
Yes.
Tremblay.
Yes.
Kraft, yes. Giorgio.
Yes.
Crafty.
Yes.
Thanks, Chief. Moving on, item 7K, the appointment of Parks and Rec Commissioners. Lisa, you want to?
No, go ahead, Mike.
Everybody knows what's been going on with the Parks and Rec, and you know that we had to pick some commissioners. I don't even know where to, I guess, so all we can do is we're just gonna make a motion to approve appointments for the new Parks and Rec Commissioners to represent Bruce Township, which is Bob Billick and Pam Getter, with Charles Shelton as our alternate. Well, you didn't know we'd probably seen the emails, we had to have an emergency meeting because, the original, commissioner we had picked, which was Janet Welch, kind of called and said that she's gonna be getting married and, not be able to find the time to do it. So we did have an emergency meeting on this past Friday, and we met and we did talk to Pam Gettert. She's stepping forward to be the commissioner. And you do have her application in your packet along with Charles Shelton's application as the alternate. I'm sure you all know Bob Billick.
She'll do a great job. So,
Washington Township's also voting on their, they have members that they're voting on today also, which is for Washington's commissioners. It's-
Are we voting for both at the same time?
so
That's what
probably
the
should.
motion reads.
Pam and
And then
Bob?
Charles is the,
Oh, and all three?
yeah.
Agreed.
I would ask Lisa and Mike, when you guys talk to these people, these are people you feel confident in?
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. I mean,
Hey,
Yes.
I'll ask one more question. Lisa and Mike, you're not interested in continuing as alternate?
we thought that we were gonna keep the politics out of it, and that was been discussed many a times. I'm hoping that Washington Township follows the same, thought
I
process.
just thought for continuity maybe as an alternate, but if you guys think confidently in these people.
I feel very confident in these people, and I'm sure Mike, as well as, I know
You'll
Mike
help
would
with the
not
handout.
hesitate to step in or to appear at meetings or to be involved in any conversation or any support to the new commissioners. And I have full confidence that this will be a good team.
Objectively, we wanna put it out to the community and the public and take the politics and.
On our end, I don't know if that's gonna happen in Washington, but that was our intention.
We have a second.
Second.
And the speculation.
I'm sorry.
The only thing we can't do is we can't put dates on it because it's gonna be determined by, I forgot how they're gonna do it as far as the articles are. They're not gonna expire, their terms are not gonna expire all at the same time, they're gonna rotate term, so.
That's to be determined, and I think the next meeting is tomorrow evening, so.
Got a second on the motion, and there's no other discussion. Can we get a roll call, please?
Craftman?
Yes.
Tremblay?
Yes.
Kraft, yes. Philbrook?
Yes.
Sherry, yeah.
Yes.
I have a question. So Eli is doing the filming for them as well. We paid him last month. How do we, who would,
We're not, we don't have, we haven't worked that out, we need to get that figured out, yeah. I mean, we're gonna record Parks and Rec meetings, which WBRW has their big, Washington Township is contracted with WBRW. They do have their own film crew, they can come in, they can run our,
yeah, well, they're kind of tapping into our system, so.
right.
WBRW has been filming with no contract for Parks and Rec. And so we knew that eventually would be a topic of discussion as far as who's going to be responsible for it and,
Just a question
it's
of part.
just a question of how it's going to be covered, because it should
So
be.
that's something they'll address once they take over.
Yes.
Okay.
If we want them on YouTube, I mean, it would be something we could, we wanted to, put the cost out. We did our first 12 months in Washington, now the next 12 months, we're just gonna rotate,
Yeah,
you know.
and Eli has agreed to do it, but I just.
Okay. I mean, we need to probably put some motion together for something like that. I don't know, he's already working for the township, do we need to really approve him to film another meeting?
No, he's gonna keep doing it, but I just mean, I would think they'd wanna reimburse Bruce Township. But I don't know what the agreement is, it's just.
There isn't one.
No, they're getting any additional.
You're just making it up.
What's that?
Yeah, they're only doing, if there's any additional meetings or any special meetings, they're getting paid extra for it. You talking about WBRW?
Yeah.
And also who, if there are special meetings or something, it has to be covered, somebody has to be a contact person for Eli.
Right. Well, that would be Bob, I would have to say no. Our new commissioners, I mean, I'm ready to pull out.
They have their own budget, why did they do contracts? Where are they gonna film
Well, they do, they have WBRW.
Parks and Rec or Washington?
the?
Washington, yes, WBRW.
I'm talking about Parks and Rec.
Parks and
They have a
Rec.
budget, don't they? They contract their own filming people?
That was something that was brought up by Phil Simmons.
There again,
But the thing is,
politics out of it.
they did the first year in Washington, the second year here. It might make sense if they wanted to contract with the people that we use,
Mhm.
or through us, and they could reimburse us. But I agree with Frank that it should come out of their budget for that meeting.
But I think that this part, what it is it's part of, it's just kind of like it was with us with the TV. She had contracted to do so many public events, the Parks and Rec, the planning and zoning meetings, you know, she had certain things that we were contracted with, the same thing with Washington. WBRW does all the minutes, or planning and zoning, they do their Parks and Rec meetings, and then on top of public, you know.
Yeah, it's something, you know, it's something for the community, I don't see a
Right.
problem with it, I mean, but I just didn't know if there's discussion I missed, so.
Yeah, I don't know, maybe we have to prove it. We got Eli's already on the payroll, right?
Okay, yep.
We're doing all this without even asking them back there.
No, I know he wants to do it.
Thanks, Eli. Okay, so we have a motion with support, and there's no other, did we do that?
Yeah, we do.
Yeah.
Got that right.
Frank was the second, we verified that a couple
And we
times.
did roll call?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay, great. So let's move on to item 7L, which is the Jones SLU. Sorry, guys, your Schick's next, so it's coming up.
Hello, Chris Jones. I'm at 8201 Pine Knoll Drive.
Hey, Chris.
Hello.
How are you?
Good. I'm just wanting to build a garage in my side yard as opposed to building it in the backyard, because I've got a giant tree in one corner of the yard, and then the other corner of the yard is it's the low spot, you know, where all the water goes when it rains heavy. And I'm just, you know, going to use the garage for, you know, keeping equipment, cars, automobiles, you know, working on stuff, workshop, just for my own use.
Is there anybody here, any neighbors for Jones?
No, yeah.
Mike, you want to take this one?
Sure. Yeah, so the planning commission reviewed this. Planning commission agreed that there was a hardship with Mr. Jones in putting in his rear yard. So we asked Mr. Jones if he would agree to some certain conditions in order to place it in the side yard, and the conditions, as stated in the minutes from the planning commission, are that the building be brick up to the gutters on the side facing the house and the side facing the road. So the side facing the neighbors and the side facing the road would be that, because one of the requirements is that the appearance be similar to the house, materials and that, so. Vinyl and wood siding on the other two sides matches the color of the primary structure, and that the shingles match the color of the shingles on the house, and the applicant agreed to all that.
Yes.
So we approved it at the planning commission meeting. I'll make a recommendation, or I'll make a motion that the board approve the side yard accessory building at 8201 Pine Knoll, Mr. Jones, as presented by the plan, as recommended by the planning commission.
I'll support.
Or by Crafty. I also want to make mention it was a unanimous vote to approve, or make the recommendation.
Yeah, it was unanimous by the planning commission.
You have any issues with the conditions at all, Mr. Jones? No?
No, just like I planned, make it match the house.
There's, nobody else got any questions or discussion? Can we get a roll call, please?
Giorgio.
Yes.
Holbrook.
Yes.
Kraft, yes. Crafty?
Yes.
Tremblay.
Yes. You're all good, you don't have to come back anymore.
Thank you.
Thanks, Chris.
Thank you very much.
Good luck.
See you soon.
Okay, now we're moving on to item 7M, the Schick Special Land Use. We got Daniel here.
Thanks for waiting.
Thank you. No, I understand. thought that was when I was supposed to jump up, so I apologize.
Mention your name again.
So, yep, just to put it on the record formally, my name is Daniel Schick, 4801 32 Mile Road. So I just sat back there and took some notes. Like I said, this has been a terrible welcome into Bruce Township. I literally can't try any harder to improve the look of our home and our property. I've been all in since April 29th, 2022. If anyone wants to see pictures, I'll show you. I experienced a planning commissioner that crossed the line. I've documented it in writing with the township. I don't know if I'm done with it or not yet, to be honest with you. In the planning commission meeting, we agreed to set the accessory building at least 12 feet from the side lot line, which is the temple's property. Code says 10 feet. Realistically, with the tree that we're keeping up, because we're keeping up all the trees we can, it's going to be about 15 feet from the temple's property line. With your approval this evening, the tent and trailer get moved as soon as possible so we can start prepping the pad. I've made this very clear to all my neighbors who will actually talk to me as their neighbor that I don't want to have junk in my front yard. I had one of the nicest homes in my last neighborhood. I personally listed and sold 14 of them while I lived there because we improved values and care, and we're a pretty darn good family, to be honest with you. We want to build the nicest barn we can that fit our style and taste, which may not match everyone's style and taste. I get it. If anyone needs more info on that, Mike was here for an hour discussion. I've never seen anyone up here more than 10 minutes. That was held up here for an hour. Again, I'm not going for cheap. I'm not going to hurt anybody's property value. All I want to do is help our community, my family, my neighbors. I've tried to play nice. I've tried to do the best I can since I met Dana the third week of January. But I don't know, I'm exhausted, I'm done, and I'm honestly officially pretty darn angry. I have nothing else to say.
You shouldn't be too angry, because I think you're coming here with a recommendation from the planning commission to approve.
I understand, but this the in between the line stuff is like, it went from pushing buttons to like, I don't have any more buttons left to push. So it's a lot, and I want to document it that.
Mr. Schick, I don't believe the planning commission pushed any of your buttons. I was
No,
at that.
no.
So your observations are different from mine.
I'm more
Same
mean at it, the event that I documented it in writing that wasn't at the meeting. I don't know, do you want me to read the email? Probably not, right?
All our relationships with the planning commission, you were very cordial, I thought.
Absolutely. I'm more mean in a one-on-one experience that I experienced with our plan.
You interrupted.
Yeah, I'm sorry, go ahead.
So I would say that if you want respect from the township and you don't want to be angry, grant the same respect.
Absolutely.
Thank you. So I would say at that meeting, we had a lot of discussion, but it was constructive discussion. I would add that at this meeting, we had one of your neighbors who has some concerns. Is there anything you can add that can address those concerns that they have?
Yeah, of course. Once I put up the structure, I'm going to complete what I'm doing, which is to just tie it all in together. Not trying to create an eyesore. Yes, I'll complete the landscaping.
So some trees will be on the,
More than some. I don't do anything halfway. I'm going to go fully and do it right, just like I've done everything else.
so I think what we agreed to the planning commission is that you would put a total of 40 trees.
Those are up and done. So it's going to need to be another, once the structure's up, then I can complete the landscaping around it. The 40 are in and installed as of yesterday, complete.
How many trees do you think it would take to decide on that? Because
I mean, it's another third leg, right? 2 legs I did 12 the first time, I did 28 the last 2 days. I don't know, the temples can chime in. I mean, probably another 20. I mean, I don't know, it depends how far we go and how I tie in the whole landscape to tie into the home. The project's not done. I did phase 1, phase 2, but with so many other things. Again, that's all. Yes, I will make that look like the rest of it. I didn't want to go put up stuff now and then not have it tie in appropriately. It just doesn't make sense to me.
I'm just asking you because I'm probably going to make a motion to approve.
Sure.
I'm going to probably add something to what the planning commission added.
Please.
To maybe try to address some.
That'd be great. I totally am on board for that.
Okay. So one of the things that we had to do is add, I think, the 7-foot trees, is that what it was?
Yeah, I mean, I've been out there a lot. Every one of them are over 8 feet tall. I would say your average is 9. If anyone wants to get out there with a tape measure, I'm all for it. But they are all mature trees, at least for planting right off the grid. I mean, I bought 7-footers, and because I bought 40 of them, they definitely were very generous.
I'd like to make a motion to the board to approve the front yard accessory building at 4801 32 Mile Road, Mr. Schick's accessory building that he's going to be building, with the conditions that were approved by the, for the reasons and the conditions that were approved by the Planning Commission. That is, the parcel is located in the R1 district and is greater than 10 acres. The setback of this proposed accessory is approximately 330 feet from the road, which is important to us because it's set way back. And the applicant's rear yard is partially wetlands along with the location of the septic system, which makes it a hardship for the owner to put that in the rear yard. The approval is conditioned on the planting of 47-foot trees or the equivalent planted in a way that shields the building from 32 Mile Road. And is conditioned on the complementary facade of the white sidewalls and charcoal roof to match the home. I would add one more. Well, finally, the minimum setback from the side property line is 12 feet, and I think you're going 14. That the owner complete the landscaping on the, I think it's the west side?
Correct.
The west side of the building to shield with at least 8-foot trees that will grow.
We define maybe how many or approximately work.
I can't, I mean, I want to do a complete screen like I've done. How about like complementing the existing privacy screens that I've established right now, like the 40? I just want to continue the same style that I have going with them, which I have staggered going. I have some triangles. It's just like I'm filling the voids. So I'll continue to fill all the voids because I don't want to see stuff just like people don't want to see my stuff. I don't want to see their stuff either.
Might be on the website and
I don't know if they have suggestion. I mean, it's so hard to say because I'm probably going to start from 32, which it's all of it. I don't know. I mean, it's so hard for me to say. You want a number of trees? I mean, I'm going to be winging it. If you want me to wing it, I will. I mean, every bit of 10. But I'm winging it. Like we go out there and we mark it with spray paint. I just don't know how to do that from here. I don't know. A dozen.
With a minimum of 12.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just winging it.
Just add the one thing I said.
Did you hear what Mr. Tremblay said?
I'm good with a dozen.
A dozen, with a minimum of a dozen 8-foot pine trees on the west side of the building to shield it from the neighbors.
I mean, I commend you for putting 40 in already. I mean, I think that's great. And the commission meeting wasn't even 2 weeks, just 2 weeks ago when you already had them in the ground.
I'm trying to take action.
Worked with us pretty good at the meeting. I can't address what the other issue that Mr. Schick's talking about.
It's just, it's been one thing after another.
The meeting was very cordial.
I mean, we're here for your protection as well. I mean, the neighbor to the east of you, which obviously his house, he could put a barn right in front of his house, and it would be a definite eyesore for you to see it because it'd be right flush with your home.
I totally understand, and Frank and I had a chance to meet before this meeting, and I understand and get all that. I totally do. I just feel like as humans, we could just interact and probably just, work through some of these things, but it's okay. We're here. Let's get it done.
Was there any other homeowners at the public hearing?
Negative.
I can't find.
There were no homeowners.
Right across from Big Red. Many of our planning commissioners drove by the house and could appreciate, I mean, there's some unique circumstances with this house, that's on why we approved the front yard. A lot of it was the distance from the road, the shielding of it from the road. Because we would have preferred materials that match the house. Given some of the circumstances, we agreed that the materials don't have to match the house, the color does, but not the materials. So,
Did you add the 12 trees, Mike?
yeah, a minimum of 12 trees to shield the west side.
I'll go above and beyond that.
Thank you, appreciate it. I'll support Mike's motion. Do we have any other discussion? If not, can we get a roll call, please?
Giorgio.
Yes.
Bradley.
Yes.
Kraft, yes. Over.
Yes.
Trumbull.
Yes.
And before you go, I'm going to give you a copy of our lighting ordinance, okay, just so you can take a look, because I need to talk to you about that in the future.
Okay. Thank you.
So you don't have to come back,
Bruce.
Thank you. Thanks, Tim.
at least to this body.
Okay, moving on to item 7N, the Andrew Harlow rezoning. Request, is Andy here? Don't see him. Don stayed.
He's not here?
Mike, you want?
Yeah, Andrew Harlow, there's a piece of property, if you drive up Van Dyke, past Kading, on the corner of Kading and Van Dyke. There's some property that looks like it's been cleared. That's the parcel we're talking about. The applicant came in, I'm gonna say, at least 6 months ago, with a request to rezone from, its right now, it's zone commercial 1, C1. He wanted to rezone it to RM3, which is the densest residential development. His concept design was for 8 units, which would have been a density of about 4,800 feet per parcel, which would have been the densest development in the township for residential, in amongst something that's not that dense. So there was numerous discussions back and forth. He came back a couple of times, once with a 6-unit. We told him that was probably too dense. So we gave him another opportunity to come back, and we presumed he was gonna come back with something 3, because we had discussed 3 units might be palatable. Instead, he came back, he withdrew everything and said, I'm just going with my straight application. We go from C1 to RM3, which would give him probably up to 8 or 10 units on that small piece of property. And the planning commission rejected it for a number of different reasons. The most important reason was the density. We were willing to work with him, but he wasn't. I think he believes he could do better with C1 than maybe with 3 residential units. So we made a recommendation, or my motion here today would be to deny the application for rezoning for the Andrew Harlow request on the corner of Kading and Van Dyke from C1 to RM3 for the reasons stated by the planning commission.
I'll support.
Work by Crafty. Good discussion. I spoke to him afterwards, and he basically gonna put something out, maybe build a suit and a seed, with the current zoning the way it is, he's gonna try to get a client to build something to suit the current commercial district, so. I appreciate all you guys did on that, Mike, and I know we had some of our community, we got a letter tonight from, everybody got a letter from one of the residents in our community too, so.
Yeah.
Well, if there's no other discussion, roll call, please.
Giorgio.
Yes.
Gilbert.
Yes.
Kraft, yes. Trumbull.
Yes.
Bradley.
Yes.
We got an amendment to ordinance 161 regarding solar and the 1-to-4 with ratio.
You want me to talk to them?
What's that?
Oh, you want me to talk to them?
Yeah.
Okay, so both of these were brought to the board. These are 2 separate ordinance changes. I'll go through the first one, that's easier, which is the change to the 1-to-4 ratio. What we're really changing here is we're keeping the ratios the same for properties that are greater than 10 acres, or less than 10 acres. For greater than 10 acres, we're gonna remove that stipulation, and we're gonna go with however the minimum width and depth is of that particular parcel in the zoning districts, which is what Michigan does, the state of Michigan. So what we had found is we had an old ordinance. So the ZBA had addressed 2 of these conditions that came through with the special land use to do these. They had these circumstances, and when we reviewed our ordinance, we found our ordinance to be out of date with what's happening today. So this is a proposal to bring our ordinance up to date with what's consistent with the state of Michigan. So anything less than 10 acres, we keep that 1-to-4 ratio, 1-to-5 ratio on the cul-de-sac. And anything greater than 10 acres, it would be the parcel length and width as as stated in our ordinance. So I'll make a motion to approve the change to ordinance 161 regarding the width to depth ratio as presented.
Support.
Yeah, Mike, you're pretty familiar with this because you were active in it too.
And we had actually two that we just recently approved to do the exact same. Came in as special land uses.
Correct. Their issues, they needed to go through fast because of timing issues with both of those circumstances, otherwise they probably would have waited for us to do this.
So I support, is there any other discussion? If not, can we get a roll call, please?
Giorgio?
Yes.
Kraft?
Yes.
Kraft, yes. Tremblay?
Yes.
Thanks for all you guys did on that too, Dana, thanks for your work on that. Oh, yes.
Yeah, Mike was instrumental in that one too.
Okay, moving on to, item 7.8 would be communications.
No, we
got
got the solar
P.
ordinance, yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry, yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, we added one.
So the solar ordinance came up because one of the representatives on the planning commission is a farmer. And she's been approached by utility companies to buy land and put up solar. What we found is our ordinance was lacking when it came addressed to commercial solar panels and stuff like that. So over the last few months, we've had Joe Tangieri come back with some draft ordinances, which we've been tweaking. We finally came to final resolution and had a public hearing at our May meeting. And we're here today to propose that the township adopt the solar ordinance. So I have a motion that, I'll make a motion to the board that we approve the change to ordinance 161 regarding solar energy systems as presented.
I'll support.
Support by Lisa. Mike, was there a public hearing on that?
Yes, we had a public hearing.
Did you, was there comments from the floor on that?
No.
Nobody showed up?
The most comments came from Connie, because Connie's most familiar.
Right.
Unless you have a large piece of property, you probably haven't been approached.
Yeah.
So this is really protects the township in the event that someone wants to come through with solar. Now we have an ordinance that protects the township, like if they were to vacate or operated improperly. So this was good, and it was good that we had a farmer that was on our planning commission that brought it to our attention.
Do we have a second?
Can you get a roll call, please?
Giorgio?
Yes.
Gilbert?
Yes.
Kraft, yes. Tremblay?
Yes.
Kraft?
Yes.
Thanks, again, guys, appreciate it. We have about item 7P, the add item to the agenda, which is our ALS contract.
I was at that DDA meeting last night, and I had two people from Romeo ask me about this. Mike, I had no idea this was going on. You've already contacted them, we haven't talked about this. You sent this letter on board letterhead saying that we, as a board, are going to extend the current contract.
Extend the current contract, I don't think that's what it was. So we negotiate the current contract. Negotiate the contract.
Yes, just tell us everybody can see.
We're willing to extend the current.
Yeah, but we didn't even talk about it, Mike.
We have to start negotiating at a certain time, but I guess we could have brought it to the board, but it doesn't mean that I
No,
extended it.
you should have brought it to the board, not could have.
So is this purposely brought forward to make me look bad right now? Why didn't you tell me about this?
I just found this out last night, and I'm sharing this letter with everyone.
So we have an obligation to start meeting with the Village of Romeo, and I thought that before our old contract used to say it had to be 1 year prior to the contract expiring. I don't know if you are familiar with this, Chief?
Yes, it expires June of 2024, so
Right.
as long as we start negotiations within that time frame,
So that's basically all this is just to start negotiations
Correct.
with the Village of
start
Romeo.
looking at data on budgets.
Right. And I talked to Frank about this prior to that, and I mentioned it to Frank if he would be willing to do negotiations with me, and if I didn't let you know, I didn't mean to, hurt your feelings and all, I'm sorry.
It's just that this is something that we should discuss and discuss who's on the, they've already set up, they apparently had a committee set up at the meeting the other
They
night.
set it up at the meeting last night, and then that's,
Monday night, yeah.
on Monday night, that was the purpose of it. I mean, we can't have 3 board members on the committee, in the
No, I'm
committee,
not
it's
saying
the
we
fire
need board,
chief,
more
Frank and
board
myself.
members, we just need to talk about it before it goes somewhere, so that when I'm out and about in the community, I find out about this, I'm
I mean,
It's
I mean,
embarrassing.
you're preaching to the choir. I could say the same thing to everything that goes on around here that I'm not being brought up to date on, to be honest with you. So if you know,
This is this is significant, Michael.
we're not signing anything, we're not approving anything, we're going in for negotiations. We have to go into negotiations. That's all. You're more than welcome to go ahead and sit on it, Frank, if you, I mean, I want to sit on it, the chief's gonna sit on it. But
Yeah, I was a part of the last one, the increase in the 5 years that we do have currently. So, I mean, I have all the data, and so, yeah, I'd love to sit down.
This letter too should go, I looked for this agreement. Did you have the agreement? Because it's not in the file.
it's not-
Contract.
It's in the file, it's right back to where I found it at, I made a copy, and I says that the file is not very well laid out, I guess you'd say it's, I think it's under Romeo, or it's under something else other than where it had,
Because I found the file, but I didn't find the signed copy. So do you have the
it's
signed?
all, whatever was in there is all like that.
And this letter should go in there too, so we know for future reference.
I would have liked to have known about this, and the other thing is,
Everybody knows that the contract's is due and it's coming up, and, you know, I even got the
But
issue that if it was not negotiated at a certain time frame, the
Right.
contract stays as is, which we all know is not the best on behalf of Bruce Township.
No,
So we don't negotiate, start negotiations, even if this is just a start, even the letter's basically, yes, we're gonna start negotiations, then we could still take a year to get the contract.
Correct.
But once we let them know that we're gonna negotiate, or that we're, you know, willing to work with them, but that's the main thing, is just getting the ball rolling.
I would have just liked to have known, and also would have liked to just have had the, perhaps the attorney take a look at it, just from the verbiage, the way it comes across. It sounds like we're willing to extend the current agreement. That sounds to me like it's more as is.
But you gotta
just the
read, you
verbiage
have to
of
read
it.
the whole thing.
I know that, and then the other thing is, there's some typos in there too, that we should kinda, like, just make sure that those are, when we're sending out, you know, documentation to the village. That's my only point, I would have liked to have known about it.
Seems like we're using an attorney for a lot of things that we should be capable of handling. I don't know.
So I'll use this as a coachable moment. Mike, I appreciate you being proactive
Me too.
in getting in front of this. I would have preferred the letter be written a little bit differently, in that maybe you could have funded it, say, upon approval of the board, Bruce Township may be willing to extend the contract, blah, blah, blah. That way there, it shows that it hasn't been presented to our board yet. The way this letter comes across is like it's a done deal.
Like it already
And
has.
we really should be approving whether we want to extend and who should be on that team. So I thank you, Mike, but I would also suggest that maybe the letter be formulated differently if it hasn't come to the board yet, that's all. And I do appreciate your effort.
Oh, I understand, thank you.
And they agreed to a committee, so it'd be nice to have some, so if everybody's good with this, we just go with this group.
I'm good with the people that are listed here myself.
I am too, I have no concern about that.
Do we have to take a vote or anything on this? Probably, right? Vote to start negotiations on extension of the contract with Frank, Mike, and Dave on the team. You want me to make the motion?
Is that your motion? Well, it sounds like you just.
I'll make a motion that Bruce Township begin negotiations on potential extension of the current intergovernmental agreement for advanced life support, which is set to expire June 30, 2024, with Frank DeGiorgio, Dave Whitkin, and Mike Philbrook as township representatives.
I'll support.
You might want to put fire in there too, because we do fire in
Is it one contract for both? Is that true, Mike?
Yeah.
Okay, then I'll amend my motion to include fire and ALS services. Yeah, fire and advanced life support services. Yeah, thank you, Dave.
Motion by Tremblay, supported by Crafty. If there's no other discussion, we get a roll call, please.
Philbrook.
Yes.
Giorgio.
Yes.
Kraft, yes. Tremblay.
Yes.
Kraft.
Yes.
Moving on to communications, item number 8. Anybody want to go first? Chief, you want to start us out?
Yeah,
You got an ambulance?
yeah, we got our ambulance back today. Not the one that was involved in the accident, but the one that was being painted under warranty or, about 2 months, so. It just pulled in when we were starting the meeting. Good news there. And I should soon have the estimate on the one that was hit.
Are we operating with the number of vehicles that we need?
Yeah, we have 4.
Anything else, Chief?
No, I'm good, thanks.
Lisa?
Just the Parks and Rec Commission meeting tomorrow evening here at Bruce Township, 6 p.m. The new commissioners will be present and the baton officially handed over, and so I think it'll be.
So you're there through a roll call, or do you tell us the end before roll call?
I'm not really sure, I'm just going with the flow.
So we have to go through roll call, we're gonna do everything except
I think we do.
approve the agenda, because we have to approve the minutes, and the new commission didn't have anything to do with the prior minutes, so we're gonna move the agenda, deletions or additions to after the new commissioners are sworn. So go on. Frank, what do you got?
We have our blood drive here, June 1st, Thursday, between 9 and 3. And that's about all I have. Well, you know what, I think they're, you asked a question one of the last times you were here, Richard, right? Yep. Regarding how many, the cemetery issue with the graves and all that stuff. So all those people whose graves are on credit, I had reported this out before, but I don't know if you were here. It was like, okay, so there was like 37 or 38 graves that came back to the township because no one responded to the letters. There were a couple of people, 3 or 4 people that came in and paid their, what they owed. And there's a handful now that our attorneys are sending letters to, and if we don't get a response from them, then the graves will be rescinded back to the township, and the money that they paid will be turned over to the state of Michigan.
Thanks.
Yep. That's all I got.
I only got one item. They're gonna be spraying for the spongy moth. The proposed date is gonna be May 19th, which would be right after sunrise. It's approximately 120 acres on Van Dyke, just north of Three Oaks Golf Course on both the east side of Van Dyke and on the west side of Van Dyke. That's the only area of infestation that they felt it needed to be sprayed this year, so we did approve that back at a prior meeting. So be a low-flying aircraft on the morning of May 19th. If it's bad weather, they're gonna postpone it to do it on Monday, May 22nd, just after sunrise. All local authorities, Chief, I think you should have been notified already. You've been notified of the plane being, but it seems like every year we get phone calls, right?
I did forget one item, and it wasn't on our agenda. It was the Three Oaks liquor license. The planning commission did look at it, and they offered some guidance, some questions to ask before issuing a license, and they are the following: is the business dependent on having this? Is this an immediate or a future need? We are currently deficient in restaurants in Bruce, so we want to save that license. There's availability space at Fiddler's Cove, and granting this license now, we would use the license and not have it available in case we had a restaurant tenant or something. And then granting this, the applicant could sell it. So my answer to those is that you can attach stipulations to these licenses. Washington Township just did it. And that if you can state that if the business is sold, or if the business dissolves, if that license reverts back to the township, we get it back, and that is legal. I called up our attorney today and asked him on that, because I saw Washington, and he says, I'll take it to his website. So that's a big thing, that we were to grant it, that we add some stipulations to it. So the planning commission has turned it over back to the board for us to decide.
So you want it back on the.
Probably want to put it on the June agenda for to get answers that.
Vic or Nick, you mean?
Vic,
Vic, oh, Vic.
3 Oaks, he owns 3 Oaks.
He's coming back for an answer. I thought
We
did.
should let him know, because the planning commission, he actually was at the planning commission meeting.
So we do have an applicant going in with restaurant that's gonna be.
Oh, we do?
The day after Vic was here, actually.
Oh,
I-
oh, let's see, that gives another consideration for the
Yeah.
board, in addition to those questions. And those questions will be in our draft minutes, so you don't have to copy them in our draft PC.
There is something that, and even Susan's gonna be familiar with, is that you can have people bring their own beer and wine, I think, to the facility, where she's got that option, you know, so. Susan, you got it?
Yeah, I have several things. I don't know if anybody's noticed the Bruce Township.
I did, that looks good.
Signs are up
Yeah.
now. You wanna see them?
Sign on.
Yeah, thank you.
Therese was not here tonight. She, her mom is ill. She was just elected president of the library board. She wanted to announce that to all of us.
Good for her.
Yeah, she's really excited about it.
She'll be doing.
She is up for, her term is up next month, so she'll have to go back on the agenda in order to.
So we have to
be present longer than a
extend
month.
yours?
Yeah, well, that'll be on the agenda for next month, but, she wanted everybody to know that. This is the pixel volume review that I think is interesting, tells all, the traffic on they do our website. I highlighted the part of traffic last year, and gives an outline of, who's used our website, interesting.
That's good, thank you.
Yeah, it's interesting. I know you all got that, email about the FOIA, appeal.
Yeah.
So we have to take that has to come before board within 10 days of today's meeting. So I kind of threw out, I think that's the 1st of June, but that's the, blood drive. So are you all available on the 31st? And what time?
I have to look at my calendar. Maybe I have to think, I can go get it if you want me to.
31st, I'm available.
May 31st?
Yeah.
Grab my calendar.
Lisa, 5 o'clock?
5 o'clock would be difficult.
Oh.
6 o'clock is difficult, as you consider, I'm always the last one running in. I could try to do 5:30.
You want to just say 6?
Yeah, let's plan on 6. I apologize, guys, wish I could do it.
No,
better
that's okay.
earlier, but
We have to review it or something?
Well, I'll have the attorney here. He's
So you
doing.
said this is something county-wide.
Oh, yeah, statewide probably, but yeah, in fact, our attorneys are working with, we're splitting the costs.
I saw his lawyer. He worked for EDS, Lisa, this guy.
What's
Oh,
on the
really?
31st?
That's the FOIA appeal.
What time?
No, we're thinking 6 PM.
Okay, I'm
Also, we approved 50 hours with high tech before we went to this pro plan. And at the time, we held off because I knew this discussion of the pro plan was coming up, and I thought we could, kind of all roll it into one. But because we approved 50 hours, I don't know if you wanna, what do you wanna do about that? Because I'm meeting with him next week. We don't need, everything we have now, they can work on under that plan. But if we were to get new computers, and the fire department is talking about they needing new computers, then that's when we need the 50 hours. So we can kind of postpone it and decide at a later date if we want to actually.
I would say just leave it. You got a discounted price. We will use it.
Oh, so what
They
you
don't
buy?
expire.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, I'd like that, you can buy them like that. Because our contract doesn't cover everything.
It doesn't with the new computers, otherwise,
were they in the budget
no.
for new computers?
No.
Nothing was in the budget?
So I mean, that's something they'll have to decide.
But
They have to
I think
come
it came
forward.
out in their analysis that the fire department needs the computers, right?
I don't know, I don't remember, we did add some, I think 6 We had 3 R3 laptops, and so.
We have some equipment that's very, very old.
Also, last night, I got to be got to witness the ceremony at the fire department with the man who was in an accident, I think 2 years ago. It was really a cool experience, because these guys never see what happens after the fact. And he came in and told the whole story. It was very, very touching, and they were all touched, and I think he really, question and answer kind of thing.
Kyle, was it?
Somebody different. Was an accident.
Oh, different.
Yeah, and it's about 2 years ago, but he had
It was 2 years
extensive
ago.
injuries, and the way he walked in with, like, nothing had ever
But the
happened.
guys responded in a timely fashion, right?
Ours? Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah.
That's what really saved him, you know. Got him extricated with the jaws of life. Us in Washington, because it was on 32 Fisher, so. You know, got him to the hospital quickly, and like Susan saying, the story was great, because his timing was perfect. There happened to be a spectacular surgeon there, and his brother is a surgeon as well, so he called his brother and said, I need you in here. You know, he got right in, he got great care. Couldn't say enough good things about Beaumont Troy and about us, and, you know, the service. And he just had a lot of questions because he didn't remember how it all went. He remembered some of the incident, but not all. So a friend of his is a fire chief on the west side of the state, and, you know, they're good friends, and the fire chief said, you really should go back to the firehouse. You know, maybe A, get some questions answered, B, thank them, or vice versa. Okay, he thanked us for our service.
It was really cool.
Told us what he's been through, and, you know, showed us some scars, and
Just ran a marathon.
just 5K.
So
he's back.
Yes.
Yeah, he just ran a 5K. He's gonna do a half marathon, so he's doing great. And it was really nice, yeah.
Yeah,
They saved my life twice.
really.
Yep.
Welcome down.
Mike, you got any
He's
communication?
family now.
Mike, do you have any communication?
No, I'm all done. Everything I have.
Nobody has anything else for the board to discuss? I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Thank you, George. All in favor? I mean, Chris.
Aye.
Trembling.